Chapter 2, Section 10, Solving Inequalities with Multiplication and Division. Our objective today is to solve and graph simple inequalities involving multiplication and division. First thing I want you to do is solve and graph the inequalities below. Number 1, 3m greater than 18. Remember, when you have a number in front of a variable, it's called a coefficient, and it means that you're multiplying that variable by the number. So in this case, we have 3 times m is greater than 18. Just like before, we want to do the opposite of what we see. So since we see multiplying by 3, we're going to divide both sides by 3, keeping our equation balanced. So what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. 3 over 3 is a big fat 1. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. So we'll get m is greater than 6. Now when it comes time to graph these, instead of doing a whole big number line, shorten things up. Just use 2 numbers, 0 and the number that your answer is. So in this case, we're going to put 0 and 6. We're going to do an open circle at 6, and since it's greater than, we're going to go to the right. Number 2. 17 is less than p over 2. Remember, a fraction bar means division, so we have p divided by 2. Since they're multiplying both sides by 2, we're going to divide both sides by 2, keeping our equation balanced by doing the same thing on both sides. So we have 2 here and 2 here. 2 over 2, again, is our big fat 1, and 2 times 17 is 34. You can rewrite this as p is greater than 34. Remember, if 34 is less than p, then p is greater than 34. Again, with just doing a simple number line, we're going to pick 0 and the number, in this case 34. And p is greater than 34, so it's going to be an open circle going to the right again. Would you try 3 and 4, please? Pause the video, come back when you're ready. Okay, number 3. 60 is less than or equal to 12b. They're multiplying the variable by 12. 12 is our coefficient. Since they're multiplying, we're going to keep our equation balanced by dividing both sides by 12. 60 divided by 12 will be 5. 12 over 12 is the big fat 1. So we get 5 is less than or equal to b. We like our variable in front, so if 5 is less than or equal to b, that means b is greater than or equal to 5. Number 4, negative 6 is greater than r divided by 3. They're dividing by 3, so we're going to, step ahead of myself. So we'll have 0 and 5. Solid circle going to the right. Now back to number 4. They're dividing by 3, so we'll multiply both sides by 3. 3 over 3 is a big fat 1. We'll get negative 18 is greater than r. If negative 18 is greater than r, that means r is less than negative 18. So we'll do our graph. We'll put negative 18 and 0. We'll do open circle. And in this case, we're going to go to the left for less than. So far, inequalities have been exactly like equations. We haven't really done anything different. The exception is coming up right now. So they transform like equations, except take, for example, negative 3x is less than or equal to 6. If I plug these in, x, so negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, that's less than 6. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, that's less than 6. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. That's less than or equal to 6. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. That's less than or equal to 6. Negative 1 works. Negative 2. Well, when we do that, we get 6. But 6 is equal to 6, so we're okay. If we go to negative 3, it's not going to work. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. That's not less than 6. So we know that x has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. But now let's try to solve this. Let's simplify it. So like we've done before, we divide both sides by the coefficient, the number in front of the variable, and we'll get x is less than or equal to negative 2. But that's not what we had before. They don't match up. We have to reverse it. Because we've tried it out. It didn't work. So x is greater than or equal to negative 2. That should be our correct answer. We've tried it out to the right. So inequalities transform like equations, except when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you must reverse or flip the inequality. So if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, you have to flip the sign. Here's another way of looking at it. You've got your positive side. So if 3 is greater than 2, hopefully we all agree with that. So large is large. On the negative side, though, you have negative 3 is less than negative 2. Here the larger digit is the smaller digit. So if I have 3 is greater than 2, that's a true statement. If I multiply both of those by negative 1, that's negative 3 greater than negative 2. That's not true. So to make it true, I have to flip and go negative 3 is less than negative 2. And that is correct. So let's practice that. Number 5, negative 3x greater than or equal to 21. They're multiplying by a negative 3. So we're going to divide both sides by a negative 3. Now we're going to take that. You can flip it around whenever you want, but notice we divided both sides by a negative 3, so we flip it to x is less than or equal to negative 7. Number 6. They're multiplying by 1/3, so we're going to divide by 1/3. Which really means I always forget that. Solid circle going to the left. We're going to keep our equation balanced. You can think of multiplying by 1/3 as the same as dividing by 3. Or you could have multiplied by 3 over 1 if you'd like. Those cancel out. And we get x is greater than negative 6. So we graph it, we get our 6 and our 0, open circle because we're not including it, and it's going to the right. Would you try problems 7 and 8? Okay, so for number 7 we have 3x less than negative 18. Coefficient means the number in front of the variable. So the coefficient for number 7 is 3. So it's 3 times x less than negative 18. Since they're multiplying by 3, we're going to divide both sides by 3. And that'll give us 1 over 1, or sorry, just 1. And we need to check, did we multiply or divide both sides by a negative? No, we divided both sides by a positive 3. So we do not flip the sign here because we divided both sides by a positive. Then we're going to graph it, so we'll put negative 6 and 0. And we want numbers smaller than negative 6, so we'll say open circle, going to the left. Number 8, negative m over 2 less than 6. We're going to work on keeping our equation balanced. We're going to multiply both sides by -2. Now since we're multiplying both sides by a negative, this is where we need to flip our sign. Those cancel out, and we get m is greater than -12. We'll do our number line. We're looking for numbers bigger than that, so that goes to the right. Would you try these two, please? When you're doing them, ask yourself, are you multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative? If your answer is yes, then you need to flip the inequality. Okay, number 9, 48 is greater than or equal to -12x. We're going to keep our equation balanced, our inequality balanced. We're going to divide both sides by a -12. 48 divided by -12 and -12 divided by -12 will give us those. Since we divided both sides by a negative, I'm going to change it to that. Now notice that I have my variable in back, so this is saying -4 is less than or equal to x, which means that x is greater than or equal to -4. Number line. -4 and 0. Greater than means I'm going to the right. Number 9. Okay. What are they doing to the variable? They're multiplying by -5. So we're going to divide both sides by -5. There's our big fat 1. Did you multiply or divide both sides by a negative? Yes, by -5. So we got -9 and 0. And we're done.